Hi everyone, my name's Chris Sellar. I'm the head of delivery over here at Oriam. I think I came very consciously aware about mental health, and I suppose I have an understanding of mental health when I went through some trauma in my own life. Unfortunately, I lost my dad through cancer, and it was a huge blow to the family. And subsequently, my mum ended up taking her own life 4 months later, and it was a really tough time for the family. And I think throughout that period, certainly when we were dealing with my dad's cancer, running became a huge part of my way of coping with the stress and the strain of that. And then obviously when unfortunately mum passed away, mental health was a key part of that situation. And unfortunately mum didn't tell us at all about some of the issues that she was having. She was clearly struggling with what had gone on with dad. That's a big part of what I'm trying to do, and trying to support other people. One, recognise their own mental health, and then find ways to try and support them to look after their own mental health. I think everyone's very different, and I think the way that I've certainly learned more about mental health, that it's a spectrum, and you have days where you have poor mental health, and you have days when you're absolutely flying and you have a really strong mental health. And so I think it's a case of recognising how you're feeling at a particular point in time, but then also then having the ability to then do something to change that. They are very different for different people. Mine, in the situation happened with mum and with dad, was very much exercise, but running might not be for everyone. There'll be other ways in which you find ways to cope. But I suppose first of all, just recognising that you have a challenge, speaking to someone if you can, and then trying to put in some coping mechanisms to try and get you out of any situation that you're in. But also more positively, just trying to keep on top of your mental health right the way throughout. Eating well, being active, having good relationships, and having conversations with people are all part and parcel of looking after your own mental health. One of the things I really valued very early on was through working at Heriot-Watt, we have the employee assistance program, which I never thought I would need, but actually became so useful as the first stage of my journey about recovering from what had happened to mum. I ended up getting referred to a private counselling service, and was able to talk very openly about what happened. It allowed me to process a lot of what happened, and there were so many feelings of that time in terms of guilt and anger and frustration and ultimately sadness. It was definitely something I would recommend if you are struggling. Speak out, and if you are really needing some support, there is counselling services out there where you're a student or a staff member that you can get some support with. Clearly, having gone through a very traumatic time, you need to try and look for the positives to try and support your mental health. The sort of silver linings that I would take from it is I do value looking after your mental health far more than I did previously. I also value life and a lot more than I did. And there's other smaller things, like we got a dog 4 days after my mum actually passed away, and we wouldn't have otherwise had got a dog if that hadn't happened. And that proved, hugely beneficial to me, getting out into the fresh air and talking. Another positive that definitely came out of the journey that I've had is linking up with a charity called Back On Side, and I'm now a trustee of the charity, and we now have a partnership with Oriam. They actually use sport as a mechanism to look after your mental health. There have been a number of positives that's come out of a really difficult situation, and I want to try and use the situation that I've had to try and, I suppose, advocate for mental health and give some ideas as to how you might support your mental health if you're having some challenges.